You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
So I did that thing again where for some reason, I'm getting better at it. As we know, it's a process with me not getting raged all the time. But getting very angry at nominations. I managed
Honest to God, I had no idea where you were going with this. I was like, okay, what?
Does she have a new rash?
What? No, it was...
Is she going to show me again?
No. It was like, did you get in another Twitter fight? Like, what happened?
But this is where it usually ends up, right?
Yeah.
But I don't understand how it happens all the time. I'm equating it to people who really like sports, I guess.
Okay, so sorry, but nominations for what?
The Golden Globes.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The Golden Globe nominations came out, and there were just glaring omissions.
Yes.
Bad decisions. I mean, and again, then I'm my own therapist in my head talking to myself going, Lisa, these awards don't even matter. They're just...
I mean, they do matter to certain people, though.
Yeah,
because it's how we get more money to certain people.
Yeah, but they're not the Academy Awards. They're not the Grammys. They're not the Emmys.
No.
No one's even really fully explained to me what the Hollywood Foreign Press is.
Yeah. I mean, it's a collection of
shady journalists from around the world. Is that? Yeah.
That aren't based in North America, and actually, maybe just America. Like, I think if you're in Canada, you might be able to belong to it. I'm not sure.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, they explain it. I know there's that one segment where they have to explain the rules. It all seems silly.
But basically, it's very much like an award system that prizes, like many systems, whiteness. And
already being famous and
already being famous.
Yeah, and so and also because it's televised and because they're all sitting around tables getting drunk, it's funnier.
I have to say, watching people drink champagne and then make speeches can be very fun.
And I have to say, it was very yesterday. Everyone's favorite Twitter follow, Chrissy Teigen, decided to take questions.
Oh,
and somebody asked her, like, she was frank and really interesting.
Yeah,
but someone said to her, like, is it really boring to go to award shows? And she was like, oh my God, it's so bad.
Yeah.
And then she actually said that they're mean to the seat fillers.
Like,
why would you be mean to a seat filler?
Wait, like her and the other famous people, or the show runners?
No, the other famous people. You know how they never let a seat be empty, right?
No, I know. I was a seat filler at the Daytime Emmy Awards.
Oh, okay, there you go. Well, she said they're mean to them. Was someone mean to you?
No, I don't. Not that I recall.
Yeah.
But to be fair, I was one of the lucky ones who got to just fill a seat and stay the whole.
Oh, okay.
The whole show. I didn't have to get up and out all the time.
Yeah.
So I was very lucky.
Right. So anyway, she just said that offhanded, and I mean, obviously, there are certain times when they're probably at more award shows, like the year that her husband John Legend was nominated for his song for Glory. I guess they had to hit.
Yeah.
You don't get an EGOT without going to a lot of
course, yeah,
award shows.
Yeah,
so she's had her pain.
Yeah.
And says they're awful and that the bars are unsatisfying. And anyway, I still want to go, Chrissy, if you're listening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I have to say, like, what she measures as awful
I know.
is a real delight and dream for many other people.
I suppose the follow-up would have been, and I guess it's worth surviving through the awards if those amazing parties after.
Yeah.
Right? Like whatever Vanity Fair party after the Academy Awards or Elton John's famous party or all these things.
Also, like anything that's super cool the first few times you do it,
yes,
you begin to take it for granted eventually.
Yes.
And I would say also with her, because she has such vivid and vibrant reactions to things and gets memed like so much.
Yes.
Like she probably
her little pain face, that crying face.
Yeah,
my God.
Like so she probably like is sort of maybe a bit more self-conscious at this point as to like what she's glimpsed doing. You know?
Exactly.
So I mean, there's a lot of her pain, anyone else's distinct pleasure.
It's very true. It's very true. She's had to go to a lot of them. But anyway, back to the Golden Globes.
Yeah.
The nominations came out, and I was frustrated. No female directors nominated. And
super snubbing of Ava DuVernay's When They See Us,
and Little Women. Lots of very female-centric films, too, just out. And, but I chose not to get into an argument about it, except for a couple of retweets. But I thought, why does this bring up such rage feelings in me? But I'm glad I'm not, I don't know why art, like the measurement of art. Like so I was trying to equate it to sports, but it's not really the same thing, is it? A sport ends in a score.
Yeah.
It was, 3-2.
Well, I mean, this is sort of like when we think about the ways that we write about, so as media, like when we think about the ways that we cover things, we're always looking for pegs, right? Like we need to find things to hook it to. So an awards show and announcements of nominations are ways in which we write about pictures and art that has perhaps reached the media's sort of like perceived sell-by date, right? Mm-hmm. So it gives us like fresh new hooks into talking about things that have like, you know, happened all the way back in January.
Yeah, and I guess ideally it should be a way to celebrate great art. It should be a way to say, you did a really great job, and this is how we're going to tell you. Even though we all know the origins of the Academy Awards were studio heads just trying to get more money, to more people seeing their movies.
Yeah.
And you know.
And I mean, even if we decide that we don't want to buy into the whole, like, okay, we're going to, maybe they don't celebrate great art the way that, maybe they overlook great art in favor of something else. I mean, that should be an opportunity for media to be able to be like, all right, we're going to tell you what is missing from this, you know, and like have those sort of more meaningful conversations. But like, there's not a lot of space sometimes for some of those bigger meaningful conversations because that's not what's getting the advertising dollars behind the journalism. So it's just, there's so many different things, and there's so much like, I mean, also, you know, certain awards shows are now like they don't perform that well.
Yeah. But I love
because
watching
people don't
them.
have cable. Yeah, I know. That's the thing. Like, and some people are watching online.
Yes.
So maybe people are like, I think I have watched a few things online, and like when like the Junos are happening and I'm not covering them personally, I will watch them through like, you know, the CBC app or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it has to be very specific things that for me to sit through like a 3-hour award show.
Yeah, and I think we're watching, like, especially with movies, like the Golden Globes are a split between TV and movies.
Yeah.
But there is a sense that the movies are becoming a little less significant than the TV show, or at least they're both on equal footing now.
Yeah, there's more of like an even par between them.
So the Academy Awards have kind of lost some luster. But here's something. We always look for a good segue.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one movie that will never be nominated for a prize.
Yeah.
And I think you know what it is.
I think I do too. I'm going to make you say it.
Last Christmas.
You're listening to Pop This.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Warner. And we are talking about Last Christmas.
Because it's Christmas.
It's Christmas.
And this is one of those new rom-coms that has thrown its hat into the ring of will it become a timeless classic.
An annual Christmas tradition.
An annual Christmas tradition, like Love Actually and The Holiday. As
Lisa has just indicated, probably not by most critical standards. However, I enjoyed it way more than I thought I would.
I did too.
You really didn't want to see it.
I really did not.
I will say, this is one of those moments where I'm actually somewhat pleased that, and honestly, the relief I felt texting you and Andrea Gin. So I pushed hard for this for some reason.
You did.
And I think it's because I love the song Last Christmas. And even though the trailer...
Well, I'm a normal human being. I love that song, too.
Of course you love it, too. Like, you're not a monster.
Yeah,
my God.
I'm not, yeah.
But I love the song so much. And even though the trailer looked incredibly ridiculous and revealed everything about the movie from the get-go.
I didn't even know it was supposed to be a twist. I guess it was. But
it was supposed to be, a twist. And I mean, if you watched that trailer and didn't know what was going to happen...
Yeah.
You know what?
Sorry for you.
Gentle head pats for you, sweetheart. That's
exactly.
Great. But like for whatever reason, I was just like, you know what? I think I want to give this a chance. Emma Thompson co-wrote it.
Yeah. Based on a George Michael song.
Like
Paul Feig. We love Paul Feig.
Yeah. Like, let's just give this a chance. Mm-hmm. And the relief I felt watching the movie and then emailing the both of you after and being like, it's actually pretty good, guys. Like,
yeah, but you're the one who loves Love Actually, so I'm just going to tell you that I wasn't necessarily super sold on your review.
I understand why you didn't believe me. I totally understand. But I think this movie, I would say, has more in common with The Holiday than Love Actually on a lot of levels.
100%.
And
didn't make you want to poke your eye out with a fork.
I mean, there are moments, but I kind of love this movie a little bit.
I kind of do too. It did get me eventually. And the funny thing is that this was a couple weeks ago when you saw it. Yeah. And
I wasn't even drunk, and nor had I smoked any pot.
No, and I went on the weekend.
Yeah.
And I'd already been seeing all of the worst movies of 2019 lists, and it's up there.
Yeah.
On all of them.
A lot of lists, yeah.
A lot of lists. And luckily, though, it did make some of those, but I still loved it anyway lists. So I knew that and your recommendation going in.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it did surprise me.
I'm really delighted by this. Mm-hmm. I can't wait to talk more.
You just try the synopsis though and see if anyone's going to be, excuse me?
Well, here's the thing. Yeah. So, okay. Last Christmas is a 2019 romantic comedy film. And I mean, I think both of those words can be used loosely. Mm-hmm. Directed by Paul Feig and written by Brianne Kimmings and Emma Thompson, who co-wrote the story with her husband, Greg Wise. Based on a song of the same name.
Which has anyone ever said that? Is that a sentence?
Yes, I do.
There are actual movies based on songs?
Based on the song of the same name. I mean, like Yesterday was sort of like inspired.
Okay.
The film stars Emilia Clarke as a cynical Christmas store worker who forms a relationship with a mysterious man, Henry Golding, and begins to fall for him. So this film, Emilia Clarke plays Kate, Henry Golding is Tom Webster, Michelle Yeoh, Santa, and Emma Thompson as Petra.
And I noticed in the credits that Rob Delaney would make a cameo, but Patti LuPone I was not expecting.
Patti LuPone, I actually in the theater was like, what the hell is Patti LuPone doing
I did the same thing. I'm like, Patti LuPone? What? Are you going to suddenly Don't Cry for Me for us?
I couldn't believe that she didn't even sing.
No. What was the point?
I feel like her
looked like she had two angel statues that were nursing on her.
I know. Yeah. I feel like her and Emma Thompson maybe are friends, and like she was probably in London.
Well, we know Rob Delaney lives in London now.
Yeah.
So that was, but still. And also Mel from the Bake Off.
Yeah.
You recognized her too.
I sure did.
Yeah, British cameo. So here's synopsis. This gets even weirder. Nothing seems to go right for young Kate, a frustrated Londoner who works as an elf in a year-round Christmas shop. But things take a turn for the better when she meets Tom, a handsome charmer who seems too good to be true. As the city transformed into the most wonderful time of year, Tom and Kate's growing attraction turns into the best gift of all, a Yuletide romance. I can't read your square things here.
You can if you want.
But
you don't
please
have
note that this is kind of a terrible synopsis, but I have included it always as it gets the job done, and that is the way people write about rom-coms. That is fair. I mean, you can throw in, some. There are some other things going on.
Honestly, you could Mad Libs all the specifics of this write-up and make it fit a lot of the way people write about rom-coms.
Yeah. So your initial thoughts.
Okay.
Tell me about the roller coaster of emotions that took over you as you sat through this 90-minute movie, 2 hour?
It's 2 hours, I think.
2 hours, okay.
It's definitely like 20 minutes too long.
Okay.
So I went in just a strong fear and ambivalence with a little mixture of hope.
Oh, I felt very similar to those emotions. Yes. Yep.
And then it opened in Yugoslavia in 1990.
Unexpected,
which is real and such a specific setting.
Yeah.
And then it flashes forward to 2017 London.
Yeah.
Again, super specific. Or maybe it wasn't 1990 in Yugoslavia.
99 is what I thought it said.
99, sure. Yeah. Sorry. I and then we flash forward to 2017 London. So we know that it's, again, very specifically framed as a timing that This is the year that sort of, pre-Brexit's about to sort of like take effect. So there's lots of racism and awfulness happening. George Michael dies in 2017.
On Christmas Day.
Yeah. So in this movie, he's
still alive.
He's still alive in this movie.
Yeah.
She doesn't know that there's a world in which he's dead.
Because he's going to die on Christmas, and we don't make it to Christmas yet, do we?
We don't quite make it to Christmas,
but he dies on Christmas Day.
So he has been dead a year.
Yeah.
2016, you're totally right. So I guess she is in mourning in a way that I did not particularly understand.
Yeah. It's a very subtle mourning. She doesn't really, she just
acknowledge it at
all. She just sort of sings his songs only. And I will say I absolutely love this soundtrack because it's just George Michael music.
It's great.
The only thing you will hear in this whole movie.
Yeah, I love the soundtrack to this movie too. I think the movie loves George Michael in a much more demonstrative way than Kate ever does. They really don't get... So Emilia Clarke, I like her. I don't love... I had a lot of feelings about Game of Thrones that were somewhat ambivalent. Mm-hmm. I don't think she's the strongest part of Game of Thrones at all.
Yeah.
I like her fine. And I think she does enough with this part.
Uh-huh.
Like, she's fine.
Yeah.
She's a hard one to pin the whole film on because she is a character that's like deeply unlikable.
It's a strange...
And I like that, actually.
Yeah, it's a strange character because it 100% made me think of Kristen Bell's character in The Good Place.
Yes, before she becomes like a decent human.
Yeah. Yeah, this beautiful blonde train wreck that is constantly at war with herself and sleeping around a lot, and we're meant to I don't know, it's a very it feels like a character that this cliche, which I actually have never met before, but it turns up an awful lot.
It does
in movies and TV,
especially the sort of the beautiful young woman who's
damaged. She's a bit not. She's not quite manic pixie dream.
No, but it's
because
close.
There's nothing eccentric about her.
Well, except that she's dressed as an elf the whole freaking movie.
Well, yes, but she doesn't. Which, of course, was in Elf was Zooey Deschanel, right?
Yeah.
But she doesn't have any of the those quirky tendencies.
No,
there's nothing cute or charming about her. She's pretty, like you said, but
I think we're supposed to find her cynicism juxtaposed with her elf outfit charming. I think she's supposed to be a grumpy elf, and we're supposed to find that charming.
Yeah, instead she's just kind of a slutty elf that is some drinking problems and poor decision making.
Yeah, and more power to you for having as much sex as you want.
I like it. Yeah. Just when in these movies it's not portrayed.
No, in these movies it's portrayed as an unhealthy decision.
An unhealthy decision that she's doing because she's needing affection.
Yes.
As opposed to really liking sex, which I think we can all get 100% behind.
Yeah.
But in even Ellen, right, in The Good Place, is that her name? Ellen?
No.
It's not Ellen?
No, her name, Eleanor.
Eleanor.
Yeah,
there we
Eleanor,
go. Close. Yeah. Okay, Eleanor. Same idea. Yeah. Eleanor is promiscuous because she's very sad and lost.
And again, what a tired trope that is.
No, that's right. It is.
Yeah,
it is. And I was a little bit surprised to see them pulling that one out.
Well, I was also surprised that it's constantly framed that the moment she decides to pursue her health, quote unquote, it's signaled by her having a smoothie.
Yeah.
In terms of yes, there's a lot of really sort of trite shorthands for character development.
Yeah,
here.
and then the man has to just kiss you, and that should be enough, and you should understand that.
Yeah.
As opposed to what if you were I really, really would like to
have sex. Yeah,
But we're meant to this is her awakening to a better person.
But and it's so weird to me because we're jumping ahead a little bit, but the fact that he can physically kiss her, why don't we see
Because he's trying to teach her a lesson.
I know, but it's so irritating.
Well, of course.
Like, it's just so frustrating.
Of course
it's so
it is.
chaste.
It's very frustrating when Chee does that to Eleanor over and over and over again, too, until they finally have sex. And
I know.
It's way better.
It's like, in this movie, it's sort of more patronizing.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
I feel like on The Good Place, it's part of the character development of Chee that we understand.
Yes.
And it's the one thing about him that I do feel is like Tom in this film is frustrating. Like, it's
It doesn't. I think in those sorts of like supernatural aspect stories, we need some frame of reference. Like, how does this work?
And if you can kiss
her,
why are you doing so much fancy Fred Astaire footwork all over London to avoid people, I guess, being able to go through you?
Whereas in Ghost, for Demi Moore to have sex with Patrick Swayze, she had to have sex with Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah, and I like that.
I did too.
That's
that made
great.
sense.
Yeah.
He's come into this body. This is the only way that you are going to be able to touch him.
Yeah.
So there was that made sense.
Yeah.
Whereas this one is very confusing.
Yeah, I don't know the rules of corporeal form in this one. And
except for we like his corporeal form.
Oh my God. Henry Golding is so dreamy. And so, I mean, I loved him in Crazy Rich Asians, and this film goes like the extra mile to just show how charming and like winning he is as a performer. And I feel like one day we will get him in a film that like really uses him to his full potential. He is so good in this.
But now he's in a Christmas classic. And
so that's good.
I think that just to give like in terms of the spoiler, whatever.
I think we're not going to be able to get away from spoilers.
We're not going to be able to.
The trailer didn't care if the spoiled the film.
So our heroine there, Kate? They're always called Kate. Kate is the had this vague illness, which they keep pretending they won't say what it is, because if they just had heart surgery, we'd figure out pretty quick. And Tom is the guy who died, and she has his heart.
Yes, but she doesn't find this out until like the final quarter of the film.
Pretty quick.
If you're in the audience and this blindsides you, I honestly, more power to you.
Yeah, exactly.
If this was a real revelation, great.
And I also applaud you for assuming that nobody could have made a movie that is so literal to that song.
Because last Christmas I gave you my heart,
but the very next day you gave it away. So so how they have worked around that lyric is that instead of like sort of physically rejecting this organ, which can happen when people get new organs.
Of course.
She has mentally rejected this heart.
She refused to embrace her new life.
Yes, she is angry. Something left of her. Now she's got this other heart. She doesn't know anything about it. And so I'm guessing from beyond the grave, he's really angry. No, that's not exactly it. I would be. And so he's sort of coming back, which in a weird way, if there had been a funnier scene, which this was a rom-com, I would have liked him to go, oh my God, this heart could have gone to anyone. Like, honestly, it was a good heart. I'm a cyclist. I'm handsome. I took such good care of myself. Like, you got a super, like, peak organ. I'm like 28 or whatever I am. Like, this was a good heart. You got a good one. And you are drinking and carousing and you're going to ruin it. And plus, you won't fall in love, so you won't even use this heart.
Yeah, I mean, I think the metaphorical uses of the heart are sort of at the center of all of this in a big way. Because she's refusing
her family's love.
She's mad and she's angry. We don't really fully understand why she's angry. I think there is something super interesting about this idea that she has been sort of like sick her whole life with whatever this heart condition has been.
Yeah.
And that she feels like her mom, and they're all immigrants. They fled the war in Yugoslavia. They're in London now. She like feels like her mom, her whole sense of identity was sort of getting attention because her daughter was sick.
Yeah.
And that is a dynamic that has played out.
Got the Munchausen syndrome.
There's
stuff
like
or whatever.
I mean,
or by proxy.
By proxy, yeah. But like, there's a whole bunch of like fascinating, nonfiction that has been written to this sort of like establish this dynamic.
Wasn't Patricia Arquette in that movie about it?
Yeah. Well, yes, it's a slightly different but yes.
Yeah.
That was not nonfiction. That was fiction.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But that's a fascinating film.
Oh, yeah.
We really don't touch on that at all.
No.
We get Emma Thompson doing a terrible accent, and we get
a real caricature
of a Yugoslavian accent. Also, just like the fact that they do. I like the fact that the movie does want to address the tensions of Brexit in 2017.
The treatment of immigrants.
But the fact that they specifically center it on a white family that apparently is Yugoslavian because that's the accent Emma Thompson thinks she can do. I had a lot of questions around it. Like, Emma Thompson doesn't really belong in this movie.
It's a peculiar idea, like you said. I get, and a lot of reviewers have noted that she said it in 2017 purposely, so she could get the Brexit,
which I think is
situation.
Great. I'm grateful for that. I just think there's so many different ways to address it, and address it in maybe like a more meaningful fashion. But I understand that it's also appealing to a specific sort of like using that family to activate.
So you don't think Thompson sounds Yugoslavian?
Using that family to be like, racism is bad, guys.
Yeah.
I understand why, like, on a certain level, but like, you have this whole movie. It just, Emma Thompson, whom I love, does not need to be in it.
Yeah,
and she really distracts in a way that's like not great.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, then we'll so there is this weird storyline, as you said, like this moralizing where Tom is going to try and teach her how to come out of herself and appreciate her heart.
Well, and look up.
And
she has to look up.
Look up.
Yes.
Yeah. Which I don't really understand what that means. I mean, because he's up there. Like, I was confused by that.
Again, I think it's like one of those sort of like really. This is just such a.
Because the one time she looked up, she got bird poo in her eye.
Yeah, and I mean, I did enjoy that because that's just like we're supposed to. Again, you know that I love a film where we don't like it's an unlikable woman.
Yes.
Character.
Yes. Yeah.
I enjoyed that. But the path to redemption of making her more likable is always this sort of. It's never about sort of like really dealing with the things that have made her like feel so contentiously. It's always about opening her eyes to the grander beauty of the world so that she can continue to just, instead of dealing with her stuff, look at other people and realize it's not so bad where she's standing, which is useful.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
That is a good way to sort of frame certain aspects of one's life. But I mean, it doesn't at any point deal with that weird dynamic between her and her mom.
And her sister.
The competitive dynamic between her and her sister.
Yeah.
Her, like, obviously her mom's continued favoritism of her as, like, the talented one.
Yeah.
Whereas her sister's actually, like, quite...
a lawyer and...
Yeah, quite, like,
wealthy
achieved and like,
yeah.
You know, it just... and her sister has had feels that she has to stay closeted because of her mom.
Yeah.
And her weird stuff. Like, there's just so much going on. And even, like, all the chances she gets from, like, you know, she is a terrible employee.
Yeah.
Like, she's constantly sort of going on auditions and not being prepared.
She's a bad friend.
And all of these people want to give her these chances over and over and over again. The only person who we do see sort of live up to what she has dictated and described as being, like, kind of not good to her is her mom. We see that. And we see it as a complicated dynamic because her mom does just want her to,
all mom-daughter relationships are going to be complicated for sure. But you're right. It's kind of, it's very like, it's not quite as bad as like her not wanting to even go to that house. Like it's not like that. It wasn't that horrible at all.
No.
And she had to have been there very recently because George Michael is still all over the walls.
Well, I think she has lived at home her whole life.
Yes,
and has
exactly,
never had to support herself.
So then why
at all.
she has a suitcase that's beat up doesn't make any sense because where has she been?
like it seems to me she's never traveled. She's never really done anything. I guess again, maybe it's because she's been sick for so long, but we don't get enough of a sense at all of like her character's journey. Yeah. And why she has become so cantankerous and unhappy and like what her depression really is. And I mean, maybe there's like an element of like, and I have read like stories about this, like where someone has like just dealt with being sort of like quote unquote sick all their lives and being defined by sickness. Mm-hmm. And then they suddenly are, healed. Yeah. And what that looks like and how that can be very disorienting.
But you presume they'd have some therapy for that though.
You would presume.
Because we did 100%. Actually see a scene where they go to the doctor.
They try to go for therapy. Yeah. Or they try to get her therapy and she refuses.
That's true.
And but we don't really see, I guess we don't get enough of, it's not a well enough written script to give us what we need to sort of like create a nuanced portrait of a character, even one that we can be fine with finding unlikable. Yeah. Yeah. Like her sort of like personal growth is a bit limited.
Yeah, like Eleanor, back to that similar character. Yeah. There were tons of reasons why she ended up the way she did.
Sure.
And we learned them all. Yeah. Yes, and you're right. So that makes more sense. Whereas this person just seems to oddly be a train wreck. Maybe she saw another movie where she just is like copying that train wreck.
Well, I guess because she's maybe always been told she's special. Like, that her voice is somehow special, that she's, like, destined
I don't even have a sense of how she made any friends. Like, did she have a job?
All these people...
Has she always been... And why... She's going to auditions, but does she sing anywhere else? Has she done anything?
She does no preparation at all. Like, she's just... And that's the thing. Like, it's... We don't get a sense of, like, anything about her.
But then we realize, and this is why I'm guessing... for you and me, why the movie takes a turn into loving it in its own weird way, is that because then we see her start to be a person that, this is Christmas, that has to start giving and caring about other people. Yeah. And I don't know why that affected me so much. I don't think I'm a terribly selfish person, but... But when for some reason, when you see what it looks like, and with the exception of putting on a talent show at a homeless shelter, which is a pretty big undertaking. Yeah.
And volunteering work. That shelter.
Most of the things she does are just small.
Yeah,
they're
super
very
small.
like just being kind, like taking her mom out and having a good time with her. And not making her mom feeling on the defensive all the time, and
letting her be a real person.
Letting her be a real person, and then allowing her sister to be a real person, and not try and score a point with your family. Yeah. And helping her boss fall in love, and they weren't big things. Yeah. And then you do see her transform, and it was very sweet, and I think it would be hard not to be sitting there. And I mean, I read the reviews, and some people weren't as affected, by it, but I was.
The moment that it really sort of coalesced for me that this movie is transcending its material, was I think when she goes to Tom's apartment. And he sits on the floor with her. Yeah. And she just sort of curls up in his arms and cries, and she's deeply devastated. And they have a conversation about the word normal. Yeah. And how damaging that word is. And I thought, like, making this, like, I think one of the things that this movie does really well, in a weird way, and I don't even know if it does it on purpose, is it really creates a lot of space to say the very basic things that people need to hear all the time. So, like, we actually do need to hear people say normal is a very bad word. Yeah. And, you cannot be defined by expectations that are beyond your control. We need to hear people say racism is terrible. I'm so sorry that person was a jerk. You're very welcome here. Like, we need the, like, very basic level, entry level human kindness.
Well, that's
is actually kind of in short supply.
Yes.
And this is a movie that sort of, like, reminds us and, like, reasserts its importance and, like, why it's valuable. And so as she's, like, weeping in his arms, and they're just having, like, and I think it's also, it's a conversation that isn't just between two people who may or may not fall in love, or even a ghost holding his, you know, the new human form of his heart. It's a conversation that I have had myself with so many different friends and so many different loved ones, as we just try and, like, just figure out how to be in the world.
Yes. I mean, I hate to quote Morrissey because I know he's a terrible person, but but there's a Smith song where he says, "Life is hard enough when you belong here."
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and I think watching her just allow herself to be vulnerable to somebody and to say those things that she felt guilty about. Like, here I was given this second chance. Yeah. Like, here's my scar. Like, I get this again, and I don't know what to do with it. And everyone thinks that's awful. I should be so grateful.
Yeah. But and being overwhelmed by, like, that expectation of gratitude.
Yes.
That is when the movie really turns around.
Yeah, it does. I would agree. And I also think that, I mean, obviously it would have been very challenging to have had her in a relationship with a ghost, but they have done that in movies before where he takes a human form or something.
Yeah.
But the movie didn't end with that. He even said to her, "Don't rely on me." Yeah. That was a big part of this movie too.
I loved that messaging too, honestly, because, like, so often we see these movies where, you know, when it's a rom-com, it's someone coming into your life and changing you because you were lacking stuff all along. Yes. This is not that movie. No. This is a movie where this person, and it happens to be a man and happens to be beautiful Henry Golding. Yeah. But, like, this person is telling you, you are totally capable of doing all the things. You just need to, like, stop being so angry. And I know that that's, like, a pretty, like, facile solution to certain kinds of sort of, like, health and wellness issues and stuff. Yeah. But sometimes you do just need to not be angry and let go of that anger and just try and just, I don't know, try and do, like, one nice thing for somebody else every day, and it kind of makes you feel better. Again,
like
this sounds very Mr. Rogers, but
I
really
it's
believe
like the
it.
ending of that movie that I honestly is in the same kind of caliber, Phenomenon, with John Travolta. Have you seen that?
Oh my God. I saw it in the theaters when I was, like, 16 years old.
And Kira Sedgwick?
Yeah.
Honestly, that the end of this, like, for people who have seen it, I'm sorry, I'm going to just, like, say this thing you might remember, and if you haven't seen it, well, too bad, this will be fun. But the moral of this story was that this John Travolta was in love with Kira Sedgwick, and instead of, like, saying all these things, she made chairs. Yeah. And he went and bought all of them, so she felt that she was successful on her own, and he never said anything. And at the end, when that bartender is yelling at everyone, he bought her chairs. What have you done for this woman you love that shows her how you understand what's important to her?
I want to get you a t-shirt that just reads, "He bought her chairs."
Because I brought this up before here. Yes, I have. Because I feel like, I know every once in a while in a not great movie, you can have some kernel of something great.
Of course.
And that thing that when he says, "Don't rely on me," it made me feel the same sort of way. Yeah. Which was, you know, him just, well, in a weird way, she is relying on his heart. But, but there was, like, it's not that rom-com. Yeah. And Phenomenon was not that kind of a romance movie either, because this person dies. Yeah. And it's very, very sad. But, you know, leaving people with something more. Yeah. From knowing that person. Yes. Right. And I think that this, actually, I did not laugh very much in this movie either. So I find it's tenuous a rom-com, really. Yeah. I mean, I did not laugh a lot. There were a few moments, but I do feel like what you're saying, like that scene with them sitting on the floor and then, you know, seeing her, you know, helping other people. And I don't understand, timeline-wise, this didn't make any sense.
It is the longest Christmas season I've ever seen in my
But also, it took 2 weeks for her to get this musical on, and every person been in that movie was at that show.
Yes, I really enjoyed the ridiculous suspension, like just
2 weeks.
Yeah, no, I know. I
didn't even notice, but apparently you wrote down here even the realtor was there.
Yeah, apparently even the realtor was there. Well, the realtor, I think, I think she's gonna end up with like the guy who works at the shelter as well.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, which is nice. If she wants to.
But there was a real kindness, and it wasn't and there was a great scene too, where that guy who runs the shelter, the man in the wheelchair, did say, like, I've seen these middle class girls come in here they take off. Yeah. They think they're going to do something great, but she's stuck around for 2 weeks anyway.
At least 2 weeks.
We'll weeks. See how long maybe that's I don't know. But you do get a sense, like, what are you going to do? This is what the movie's telling us. And so I'm going to take it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you can't ask it necessarily to be so much more than it is.
Well, then we do go to summer, and we do see her sitting on that bench, and she's a different person.
Yeah.
That is symbolized by her not wearing short skirts anymore, but long floral dresses.
God. I mean,
and her hair,
purity
instead
police.
of being a real cute kind of shaggy bob, is now very smooth and hairspray. Did you notice that?
Do you know?
Oh, sorry.
Look, as soon as someone gets their life together, they get rid of those flyaways, Lisa. That's just
the hairstyle really smooth.
That's just. It's a common knowledge that this is how you know I'm literally always in disarray.
Yeah.
I cannot get rid of my flyaways.
No, because I mean, at the very least, I was thinking your life's a shambles, but your hair is quite cute.
It is, yeah.
Like you really had that.
Well, I laughed, I think, a bit more than you did. There were a couple of moments. I thought that, like, I wanted this movie to be like 25% weirder because there are these moments that are so weird. Yes. You're like, what is even happening here?
Yeah.
There is a love story between Santa, Michelle Yeoh, and a man who she calls the boy, who's a grown man, and has like an artichoke. Cabbage?
Sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut. Yes,
sauerkraut fortune, because he seems very wealthy. I don't know.
Yes, yeah. But like, doesn't he come with like different vegetables to her like store?
Something like that.
I don't know. Anyway, he is obsessed with Christmas. She has called herself Santa and owns this Christmas store. She has, Michelle Yeoh has a lot of great moments in this movie, actually.
Yeah.
And I really like her character, and I love when she starts to kind of fall for this sauerkraut guy, and to see their relationship proceed in these very like weird moments. I wanted a bit more of that kind of quirk level.
Yeah.
There's also sort of like some side characters, these two women cops. They're funny in a kind of bumbly way, but they also
have their own little routine going on. They're very funny.
A whole other dynamic happening. Yeah. There's a moment where they're making Kate and Tom are making fun of some of the more hideous ornaments in the store.
Oh, yeah.
And they turn, and the baby Jesus has teeth.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard and so long. I think people in the theater thought I was paid to be there. Like, I could not stop laughing. Something about a baby Jesus with a full set of chompers.
It was something. Great. It looked like Robot Chicken kind of.
Oh my God. It was, right? I loved it so much.
I have to say one thing that made me unintentionally laugh really hard and inappropriately in the theater was that one thing I didn't notice that Tom was riding his bicycle around in his delicious khakis and gray.
With no helmet?
Until he gets hit by the bus.
Until he gets hit by a bus, yeah.
With his helmet.
Yes!
So...
Amazing.
And
what a decision.
I could not stop laughing at that.
Oh my God.
The reason he's riding around without a helmet is because he's a dead man. It doesn't
matter anymore.
It doesn't matter anymore. But when they show with the accident flashback, he's wearing a helmet.
What a statement. Yeah.
I just remember the theater going, oh, come on.
Yeah.
Now we're lecturing us. But as it turns out, it didn't save his life, did it?
It sure didn't.
But maybe his brain went to someone else, and that'll be another movie. I don't know.
Oh my God, we're just gonna get different parts of his body.
Because I'm telling you, they wheeled him in there. He looked good to me.
He did look good. Yeah.
There was I couldn't physically see any issues. Maybe he was. No, he couldn't have.
I don't know
what caused him to die.
Yeah.
Because he had a helmet.
Yeah, maybe it was like I mean, this is gonna get dark real fast, so maybe we don't just guess on how he died.
No, that's not.
Yeah,
that's fine.
But I I was very worried when she shows up at the homeless shelter, and I thought, oh my God, how much are they going to exploit homelessness?
Oh,
and I was actually pleasantly somewhat surprised
that
they treat everybody as a real person.
Yeah, the woman that was outside yelling had a bit of a kind of Victorian tuppence or whatever,
Yes, like tuppence, very tuppence.
Yeah, very tuppence.
Very tuppence, very Mary,
Yeah,
Poppins,
but otherwise
tuppence.
people were like real people and I mean, she also had some great graphic design skills making posters, I thought.
Yeah, she did a great job actually of making
posters. Yeah, and again, can we just say again, all of that George Michael music was just...
Oh, so good.
I feel like, and the movie made the joke, and as a lifelong George Michael fan, that idea, I think he was appreciated in his time. I don't know if he was appreciated in quite the way he should have been.
Yeah, I don't think he was as appreciated as he should
have been.
Yeah,
I mean, I think people had him in that kind of like disposable pop star thing, and he was actually in like a really brilliant, heartbreakingly talented singer and songwriter.
Yeah.
But there was a line in there about how he wasn't appreciated, like maybe this movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that this movie is elevated by his charms as well.
Yeah.
'Cause like imagine if it, well, obviously it wouldn't exist, but imagine if it only used the Last Christmas song.
No, they had full access to his entire catalog.
Yeah. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I also, I didn't even mind her, Emilia Clarke's version of the song at the end.
No,
I could listen to that song.
I've heard that song karaoke'd so many times.
Me too, but it's never bad.
No, it's never bad.
Like it's always good.
Although I must say, I do enjoy the original video very much because there's nothing like seeing George with that giant head of blonde hair running around outside in the snow.
Yeah.
Technically, as we all know, that is a Wham song.
Of course. Fine, Andrew Ridgeley's there.
Yes, but so maybe he got a little bit of money from that. So
he got thanked at the end. I saw the credits.
Oh, I did. Okay, There we go.
Just to sort of round us up here, because like, apparently we've managed to talk about this movie for a long time.
Oh boy, okay.
So this is one of the movies where Rotten Tomatoes is quite revealing. 47% from about 170 critics, but 81% from 6,000 users.
Fair enough.
Look. Let the people speak.
I'm going to say this right now. I saw Last Christmas and enjoyed it.
Yep.
I have no interest in seeing The Irishman or Marriage Story.
Oh, I am a little bit interested in Marriage Story, even though Scarlett Johansson's dead to me. But
none.
I am interested because, unfortunately, the Noah Baumbach,
Jennifer Jason Leigh thing.
Yeah.
I recognize that.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I want to go down that journey. I don't know if that's something I want to do.
Yeah, it's not going to be pleasant.
Whereas this, I'm just going to put this out to everybody. You've got a holiday coming up.
Yeah.
How are you going to say or use your entertainment time?
Yeah.
That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah. Use it wisely.
Use it wisely.
Yeah.
Be kind to yourself.
This movie for me pops.
Oh, me too. I'll watch it again.
I'm totally going to watch it again.
I know.
Yeah,
I will.
Yeah. Eventually, I will not think of it as sort of like I don't really go in for like guilty pleasures, but this one's a tiny bit of a guilty pleasure for me.
Yeah, I mean, it has that, like you said, it was more like The Holiday, which it is in a way. It's gentler and it's smaller, and it, like you said, could have been quirkier, but it isn't a Richard Curtis film who, that's his stock in trade, is just throwing weird. What?
High level, huh?
Yeah.
And I like a little more, huh?
Yeah,
but,
no, I mean, there's weird things about it. Obviously, the song-movie connection is a very strange one.
So literal.
Yeah. But I did see yesterday, and boy, I'm not going to recommend that movie, so.
Yeah. much. Oh, we love to leave on something we recommend.
Yes.
Something we recommend.
The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel season 3 is out now. 4. Is it 4?
3.
3. So I have just started to watch it.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of criticism about maybe being a bit too nostalgic and a bit thin on plot.
What? Mrs. Maisel?
But I felt like that's what I watched in the first 2 seasons. So
yeah, I was like, people are just now realizing that's what the first 2 seasons were?
Yeah, cool.
I
am enjoying it again. I'm going to have to take my time because there are only 8 episodes. Yeah. Or 8 or 10 or something, I can't recall. So I'm going to just be slowly working my way through them.
Awesome. I'm going to recommend a book that I read on vacation, and I loved it so much. It's by Alexander Chee, and it's called How to Write an Autobiographical Novel. And it's actually a collection of essays, and they're wonderful, insightful, heartbreaking, and smart. And particularly if you are a writer, this collection will really invite you to sort of interrogate, what it means to have talent versus what it means to do hard work, and what it means to have a combination of those 2 things. And I really I love it so much. It was one of those sort of life-changing books.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. It's a lot, but it's really great.
Excellent. Well, we've left you a lot.
Yeah, so go from Last Christmas to Mrs. Maisel to Alexander Chee's book.
There you go.
Honestly, what a great trifecta.
And maybe throw in some George Michael in there.
Definitely throw in some George Michael. Thank you so much, everybody. Oh, wait, sorry. There is one thing I do have to say, which I can't even believe I didn't say this earlier. But the fact that they take the musical legacy of a queer icon and apply it to a heteronormative story is a bit of a frustrating lapse in Emma Thompson's vision.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And fair.
Yeah.
That was a big struggle for him.
That was one of my
true.
of my main issues with the film, which I forgot to even put in my outline because that's how much they erase queerness from the film.
Yeah.
So anyway,
except for those policewomen, I don't know.
I don't know what we're supposed to say
and her
that.
sister. So
Anyway, late note. But anyways, thanks so much. I hope everyone listens through the credits.
Yes, and thank you to Andrea Gin, our producer, who again is going to have really a lot of fun editing this. But I didn't sing at all. I didn't sing one George Michael song.
Great job. Good work, Lisa.
Bye.